Hi, I'm Isaac Raz from PPR Studios, and today I'm going to be talking about the conventions that we use and develop in our thriller film. So, there are three main conventions that we have used. There are three main conventions that we have used and developed in this opening for our thriller film, and the first one that we actually just use is the victim being a young girl. The reason why we decided to use this is because our target audience is for 15-year-olds. It's 15 and over. So the good thing about that is that there's obviously going to be a lot of people in there around the similar age of this young girl, and if they are like adults like around 30-40 mark, which we are also hoping to watch this as well, they'll kind of sympathise and find it quite like unnerving that this girl got attacked as well, because obviously they might have children or might know people that have children or nephews or something who are around or nieces around the same, who are around the same age. So we thought that it would be quite good to have someone around this age and this gender, because a lot of people will feel like they'll have somebody in their life who are very similar, so it will kind of like it will just make them sympathise with the character a bit more, and make them feel sorry for her a bit more. It will just make them a little bit more nervous as she's going out at night in this like woodland area. The other one that we decided to use was the idea of having the setting of like being quite rural. So there are like you can hear cars a little bit, and you can hear like kind of town life in the background, and you can see houses when she's on the bridge. But having that kind of like she's gone out from like the village bit into like this kind of more rural area kind of makes you feel like why is she going out? Particularly in the first scene, like why is she going out in like in that kind of like clothing, and like that's like clothing like and shoes for like going out in like out on like around somebody else's house, or going out to town. It's not really suitable for walking around in the middle of a wood, so it does make people kind of feel like the two don't fit, and that does make you quite nervous when you're watching her just walking around trying to get reception on her phone. Again, one more, like, the reason why we tried to do this is because it just makes people quite nervous, again, just to see her, really. As you can see on the screen, like, it makes you feel like quite unnerved when she's just walking around in the middle of the night, and when it pans over to her being dead, it does kind of like look very, very like odd, like it kind of like just makes you feel really, really sorry for her, just because she's just lying there and she obviously wasn't expecting it, and it's kind of like it's really strongly highlighted by the fact that these two don't really go together, like the costume and the setting, they shouldn't almost be there. They like it just makes it seem more obvious and makes you feel a lot more sorry for her and makes you a lot more nervous for her, really. I kind of took inspiration from this one, I guess, from this French program called Les Revenants, particularly from the first episode, because there's this girl called Camille who is walking around this rural area, and she's kind of like climbing over this cliffside, and she doesn't know what's happened, and it's kind of like very similar to, even though they're not similar stories, like this like is a completely different situation. The fact that they're in like a really unknown, they're in like a kind of like really like quiet part from where they live or where they know, in like a really remote kind of more rural area, and they don't know what's happening, and they're very confused and quite scared. It's a very similar emotion, and I think it is it does like make the audience feel that because of the rural area, because it just makes them look very isolated, which makes you feel like something's like like they're all alone and something could easily happen to them. So there's quite a lot of anticipation there, and again, like I said, it makes the audience feel quite nervous for them. So another convention that we actually decided to develop instead of use was one where the killer is someone that the victim actually knows. So in a lot of thrillers, particularly TV dramas, they'll have like a group of people that this person knows, and then they'll have the attacker like at the start and maybe flashbacks and stuff like that. But you won't actually like know that the killer is somebody in their friendship group. Like, it will be a shock at the end. And we decided to use it and like develop it quite differently, so that you know that the killer is or the person who attacked her and is killing all these other people is one of her friends, but you don't know who the friend is, and you don't know if it's the same friend that she was going to meet that night, or you know what I mean. There's still some mystery behind it, and all you know is what his voice sounds like. So there's a lot of room for mystery in this thriller film, because the audience will kind of be always on the edge of their seat, and a lot of the time going back and forth between ideas of who this person is. Like, if they see an over-the-shoulder shot of like one of her friends, they'll think that that person is the killer, and if that happens a lot through the film, they'll think that because it's happened a lot, oh, that person can't be the killer. So there'll be a lot of going back and forth between like, oh, is it that person, is that person, is like, you know, like there'll be a lot of flashbacks and stuff like that, and that makes an audience member quite nervous. I kind of took a little bit of inspiration from a film called Momentum by Christopher Nolan, and in that film it's constantly got flashbacks of him on the phone, and it's not necessarily that you know that he's the killer or something, or you think that he's this person who killed his wife or whatever, but you're always a little bit suspicious of it, because he always seems like, whenever there's like scenes of this main character doing something or acting out, it always goes back to this room, and it's always set in black and white as well, so it's always like, gets the feeling like this has happened way in the past, and almost that is the memory that he's reflecting on, rather than that's the character then and he's reflecting on all the other stuff that's happening in the present day. It's very weird, and it makes you really, because of that weird feeling, it makes you really suspicious of this one guy. So those are the conventions that we have used and developed throughout our thriller film. If you want to watch any of our other videos, please check on our blog.